Good day everyone, I'm Jimmy, and if you're new to the channel, welcome. If you're not, thank you so much for supporting us all this while. Just remember that every like and subscribe goes a long way in supporting our production. It's a long time since my last podcast. I've been busy these days and getting the grind in, so not gonna lie, it's not easy, but 2021, New Year resolution time. I don't know if resolutions are still even a thing considering my 2020 went out of the window. Well, if I had to, one of my resolutions is to continue to upload consistently and produce better, relevant, and more informative content for our viewers here on Coffee Tea Investment. Well, today, flying solo with you guys, have a look at these disclaimers before we proceed. 2021. Can you even believe it? I was literally just lying on my bed for weeks during the lockdown. Of course, constantly pumping out new content here and there, setting goals, improving myself massively now that I come to reflect about it. Well, it's unfortunate that the UK recently went into another lockdown at the start of the new year, after a new variant that was reportedly to be more infectious sent the nation spiraling into its third lockdown since the start of the pandemic and would not be lifted until mid-February. Schools will be closed down after the Prime Minister, Boris Johnson, retracted his stand that there's no doubt that schools are safe at the start of the new year in an interview with BBC. You here at Coffee Tea Investment hope that everyone in this new year will continue to stay safe, practice social distancing, and most importantly, take care of your own mental health as well. It is seldom mentioned in the headlines and other financial channels as well, as the focus is undoubtedly on the global pandemic at the current moment. But please do reach out to people if you need help. There will be links in the description that we find useful to keep yourself positive and some psychological studies on mental health that will give those interested a better insight of this rarely mentioned problem these days. Over to the US, vaccines are progressively being rolled out in the States. Over 21.4 million doses distributed and over 5.9 million people had their first shot of either Pfizer BioNTech or Moderna vaccines, both of which were approved for emergency use by the Food and Drug Administration just before Christmas. Speaking of which, the first month of 2021 did not go what most of us would have expected it to be either. Just the first week of 2021, the US Capitol Hill siege that saw 4 rioters dead and others injured after the outgoing President of the United States, Donald Trump, incited an insurrection with his speech at Capitol Hill, urging for his supporters to demonstrate against Congress certifying President-elect Joe Biden's victory. Yep, you heard it right. One of the world's longest standing democracies of 200 years actually saw thousands of brazen citizens rioting in the streets of Washington, D.C., destroying the interiors of US Capitol building, and even causing harassment to public servants of the Constitution. We Coffee Tea Investment here do not condone any form of violence or aggression to bring across opinions that everyone in this world should and will always be entitled to. Well, many netizens are also quick to point out that The Simpsons, America's longest running sitcom, have predicted this event. If you're interested, check out the links below for more. Although they have done so many times over the years, we urge all viewers to take this as a pinch of salt and continue to do your own due diligence on any issues moving into this new year. So, moving forward, what do we expect in 2021 after a chaotic start? Well, I wish I could ask my 8-ball or crystal ball what will happen tomorrow morning to the markets, but I guess we'll have to only predict or at least anticipate what's going to happen. The riots definitely will have some public backlash. The Mayor of Washington, D.C., Muriel Bowser, has extended public emergency for 15 days, coincidentally on the inauguration day of the 46th President of the United States, giving her the power to call for another curfew. In our opinion, this is to ensure that there could and should be social stability coming into the days of a peaceful transition of power between both the incoming and outgoing administration. Facebook founder, chairman, and CEO Mark Zuckerberg came down hard on Trump, extending the block on his Facebook and Instagram accounts for at least the next few weeks until the peaceful transition of power is completed. He's joined by Twitter and Google as Twitter proceeded to ban him from his account after what was his final straws, as he continued to post 2 tweets that violated their policies. Parler, a social media platform alternative to Twitter that has a significant user base of Trump's supporters, were also being suspended from Google Play Store and threatened by Apple to remove all contentious and malicious content to people or government facilities. In our opinion, We applaud the move from these big tech companies, although we still question their power in our current societies these days. It's rather surprising to see that the three major indices are largely unaffected by the chaos unfolding right at the doorsteps on Capitol Hill, with the S&P closing with gains of 1.5%, the Dow Jones Industrial Average up by 0.7%, and the tech-heavy Nasdaq up by 2.5%, reaching record highs yet again. Riots and social unrest are usually synonymous with fear and will be reflected in the markets. However, we need to take a step back and look at the bigger picture being unfolded. The Democrats took exceedingly narrow control of the Senate after winning both runoffs in Georgia, granting them control of the Congress and the White House for the first time since 2011. What good does that bring to the economy and, most importantly, the markets? Well, to put it simply, not to bore anyone with any complicated terms, Democrats will at least have control of the committees, the legislation, and nominations brought to the floor, which will pave the way for at least some of Biden's agenda. Unfortunately, or fortunately, depends on how you look at certain policies and things. This will not be close to a free pass or a blank check just because Democrats control the Senate, as most legislation, such as non-budget related legislation, will require a majority of 60% rather than a simple majority of 51% via budget reconciliation. This is a rather abstract and complicated process to understand, but there will be links here below to improve your understanding for learning and interest's sake. In layman's terms, some of Biden's ambitious plans, such as his $2 trillion climate plan and infrastructure plans, could face some resistance unless he obtains bipartisan support or gets some of it passed through the reconciliation route. And one thing's for sure, to quote Biden, the $2,000 checks will fly out of the door immediately. As of the end of January, the Congress continues to debate over the $1.9 trillion coronavirus funding, American Rescue Plan for short. You can find out more about the package and its comprehensive coverage in the link on the top right of this video. But basically, the idea of a further $1,400 stimulus will be more or less backed by both sides of the aisle as Americans continue to suffer from the largest annual decline in close to a century and filings for unemployment aid climbs close to 1 million in the first week of January. There are even further pressures from more than 50 other House members, including other leading House progressives such as Representatives AOC of New York, on the Biden administration to back the policy of giving out monthly payments until the pandemic is over, according to a signed letter here sent to President Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris. What do you guys think of the stimulus package? Is it sufficient, or could there be a higher payout with more discussions in the Senate to come? Well, that concludes the key highlights of the first month of 2021. We have covered a lot on the politics segment that affected the economy due to the recent elections in the US, and just a quick update on the coronavirus situation before we end. WHO warns of a second wave in Africa as another strain of COVID is confirmed in the United States. Nothing much to worry though, as Dr. Anthony Fauci said the newly developed mRNA technology used for the Pfizer and Moderna vaccines will make it easy to adapt the shots for new coronavirus strains that have emerged in the United Kingdom, South Africa, and Brazil. Check out some of these key statistics around the world as many economies are slowly slipping back into last year's lockdown, especially at our doorsteps. Malaysia, whose Movement Control Order, MCO for short, that's due to expire on the 26th of January, looks to extend into the new month of the Lunar New Year as Malaysia records a new high of 5,725 new COVID cases on the last Friday of January. Singapore also proceeded to cancel reciprocal green lane arrangements for business and essential travels across the causeway, together with Germany and South Korea, in light of rising imported and onward local transmission of COVID-19 from travellers, a statement released by the MFA just a day later. Seems like everyone is preparing for the worst to happen again, and hence we here at Coffee Tea Investment would like to maintain our position of sitting at the sidelines and continue to monitor the situation for now. In next week's video, we'll be discussing how these potential stimulus checks could indirectly affect the economy, where the markets are at all-time highs. More on the stock markets, we are currently analysing on the recent bullish run of cryptocurrency as well, so do expect a full and comprehensive coverage to come soon. And yes, we definitely will cover the recent short squeeze caused by popular Reddit discussion forum, Wall Street Bets. What are your opinions on the outlook of the physical recovery of our society as the populations are progressively being inoculated against this year-long virus? Are you one of those people who are still thinking about if you should get the vaccine? Let us know in the comment section below. Until next time, invest, save.
Ever since the day that you went away.